Now, well, it's impossible to retell this history, but the fact that Jonathan Porath, how many? 175 times was in the Soviet Union and in former Soviet Union. And the Soviet Union, it's unbelievable. I never heard about that. And I want to explain why one visit is so important. Because really, we heard now, and it's often said that was the revolution. In fact, to think in terms of what happened in the 20th century, that 20-25% of Jewish people were not only behind the Iron Curtain, but we were assimilating absolutely. To say that I had anything Jewish in my life except from anti-Semitism, no, nothing. So, and it seems that it's lost because, after all, the dream of every parent is how to write the idea of your children, Kazakh, Gruzini, Armenian, doesn't matter what, because there was no positive meaning in this word Jew. So, American Jews are really irritating me because it's normal that they see me somewhere and they say, oh, you see, my son, I want to tell him, so let me have a picture. And I know the picture is the beginning of that. And I say, yeah, but you remember? Well, of course, I was on demonstrations, and they even came once to Kishinev, and they say, and your son or your grandson knows nothing about it. So why do you need a picture with me? You American Jews, you had the unbelievable victory against Soviet Union, and you forgot to tell it to your children. I was thinking how to give this feeling of pride to my children. I'll tell them about Maccabim. I'll tell them about King David. Maybe I'll tell what now I see Sharansky. I'll tell about Sharansky. Tell about yourself, because from my experience, there is no way to make your children and grandchildren interested if it is not part of your family story. And really, there were so many Jews who were coming, we go on demonstrations, 10 people arrested, and next day there are tens of thousands who go on demonstrations, and you're coming, not everybody 175, but one time you came with the list, you went to refuse the here, you got information, you brought it to your organization. That was the war, and you forgot to tell it to your children. So very important that you told to your children. You have, I understand, wonderful 5 children, all of them in Israel. But I call every Jewish parent to do the same. Okay?
It's Simchas Torah 1968, and I'm standing in Arkhipova Street in Moscow. Who was in Arkhipova Street in Moscow? Yep. Now, why was I there? Did you ever read a book that changed your life? I had. And the name of the book was Silence. Elie Wiesel's description of Simchas Torah was extraordinary. I was incredulous because I had been to Russia as a student in '65 and met a few Russian Jews, but I was looking for Russian Jews. I read Jews in Silence. I had to come because he describes tens of thousands of young Jews. I met no young Jews 5 years ago. Who were they? So I came back to see them. You're surrounded by young people. You're overwhelmed. It's like a giant outdoor wedding. And they're all Jews. And I realized what I was doing there. The songs, they didn't know the songs, but I knew the songs. So how many times can you sing David Melech Israel? A lot. And then I remember I knew one Russian Jewish song, which some of us knew. Niet, niet, ni balyusya, nikavo, boga, boga, navo. I'm afraid of no one. There's only one God. It's a Chabad song I learned from a Rabbi Hillel Levine years before. Now, when I sang the song, I whispered the last words, there's only one God, because they were seditious in Russia. I was afraid. But they weren't afraid. They kept yelling, Toka, Boga, only one God, only one God. I was scared to death. They were fearless. At the very end of the evening, you read the story of the book, the diary. I was speaking to some young Russian Jews, first in English, then in Hebrew, then in Russian, and he wouldn't answer me. And I said to him, tell a young man, why won't you speak to me? And he stood his full out and he said to me, Ich bin a Yid. And his language was Yiddish. That was the Russian Jewish language. We're in shul, it's 1973. It was like the heavens opened up. It was like Leil Shavuot. We were sitting and began to sing and dance in a small shul, Leningrad. And our kids got up to dance. They began dancing with the women in shul, and with the men in shul. And I took a picture, and I wouldn't believe it myself. If I didn't have a picture, you'll find it yourself of R.U. Swires dancing with Russian Jews. Get by in the book. In the shul, R.U. Swires. And one of them, and Nechemi says to me, Eifo Miriam. Miriam, Moshe's sister, led this dancing at the Red Sea. Where's Miriam? And he says to me, in the middle of his dance, he says to me, Atem Yosef. You're Joseph. No, I know that game. And the answer to I'm Yosef is Vatem. What do you say? Atem Ruven, Atem Shimon. It says Lovay. Atem Yosef. Loi shechachtem, my son. You didn't forget us. You came back for us. I asked Bella Kantarji, our neighbor from Ukraine and remote, why she raised her hand. She said she'd been a member of Komsomol, of the Young Communist Youth League, as most people had, and a member of the party, and she was now setting up a kosher kitchen. Where did this come from, I asked. And she said, that was all we knew back then, like Natan said. Now we have come to Israel, and it's my choice. I want a kosher home. That's what she said. Ultimately, here we are all Jews. Здесь, и все евреи, in Russian and in English, is not a travelogue about my trip. It's trips. It's a story about them and us, about the essentials of Jewish life and Jewish tradition, Jewish pride and Jewish courage, Jewish faithfulness, Jewish belonging, and Jewish resilience, qualities we need so much, particularly in today's perilous times. For us outsiders who were privileged to take part in this incredible and moving saga, whatever you did, this was undoubtedly one of the greatest journeys of our lives. We met long lost brothers and sisters who affected us to our core.